Okay, I think we should be live with our next session. Again, in chat, please do drop us a note to say you can see us. Okay, looks like I already see chat popping in there. That means it must all be working. We've got a session with Darin from 10 Up, who's going to do a bit of a behind the scenes for ClassifAI, which is I've got a lot of really exciting. It's been around for a while actually, and so like kudos for being early on a bunch of this AI stuff. And I know has recently had some exciting updates. I'm going to take myself off stage, Darin, and hand the floor to you so you can take us away.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so I'll get right into it. My name is Darin Kotter. I'm an associate director of open source engineering at 10 Up, and going to talk kind of just briefly today about one of our plugins called ClassifAI. So I'll start just kind of some background philosophy and kind of what our thinking behind ClassifAI was. It's our attempt to integrate artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies within WordPress, particularly to help lighten workloads, eliminate tedious tasks. In essence, how do we make the experience of creating content within WordPress easier? And we see AI as a companion to human content creation, not as a replacement. You should be very much involved in this process yourself. And while we're focused on editorial efficiencies, kind of some of the initial features that we've added are more kind of administrative type tasks, because these are often a universal set of challenges that everyone is facing. So the initial idea for ClassifAI came from a specific client need that they wanted to ensure that their content was always classified within a specific taxonomy. And so then we took that feature, we generalized it, and we open source that. And this is something that we do quite often at 10Up. It's part of our commitment to an open and collaborative web. And AI has gotten a lot of attention over the past 9 months or so. Thanks a lot to OpenAI. But we've been actually working on ClassifAI. Well, the first public release was in March of 2019, and so we probably started working in probably the end of 2018 would be my guess. And so the first public release was on GitHub. This was version 1.2.0. And since then, all the work that we've done has been public up on GitHub, and we're currently at version 2.2.0. And we've integrated with multiple providers, and we integrate straight with those providers and their APIs. So this means that no data is filtering through 10 Up. There's no cost associated on our end. All of the costs come with the API providers that you're using yourself. And so the first integration that we did back in 2019 was with IBM Watson's Natural Language Understanding API. And so this API uses deep learning to extract meaning from text. And so we integrated with this API, kind of what I talked about before, as far as classification. It automatically adds terms to your posts when those posts get published. So it analyzes your content and determines which terms best match that content, and those get automatically added. We then added integration with Microsoft Azure's computer vision API. And so this API provides access to advanced algorithms that can be used to process media in various ways. And so we have lots of different integrations that we've done here. As you can see in the screenshot here, this is probably one of our more popular features. This is the ability to automatically generate and save alt text or images when those images get uploaded. So rather than having to rely on your editorial team to always remember to put in alt text, that can automatically be generated for you based on the context and content of that image. We also have automatic image tagging. We have smart cropping for images, and we have text detection for both images and for PDFs. We also added an integration with Microsoft Azure's Personalizer API, as well as an integration with a recommended content block. And so this block will recommend content based on kind of overall site traffic and behavior. So instead of targeting a particular user and having to get into concerns of whether GDPR or PII, it targets larger groups, things like maybe users that visit your site at a certain time of day, or users that visit your site on a certain day of the week, or users that come from a certain location. It will recommend and personalize content for those particular groups of users. And it also utilizes reinforcement learning. So as people click on these articles, those are sent back to this API, and so it can learn and it can fine tune the content that it shows over time. And so that's kind of the history of Classify, very, very briefly. And that brings us to now the version 2 release and beyond. And so these, version 2 and these other releases have happened within just the last few months. So we've kind of caught the same, AI fever as everyone else and have started to ramp up integrating new features, in particular with OpenAI. And so our goal here, again, has been to continue introducing features that can help make the editorial process more efficient while still keeping the human element involved. And we also want these features to feel native to WordPress. They should not feel intrusive. They should feel, a natural integration within the editor. So I have some videos here. I also was not brave enough to do a live demo, so I've pre-recorded some things. Hopefully they show up correctly here on the screen share. But the first feature we added with OpenAI was on-demand generation of excerpts. So I'll play this video here. So here in the core excerpt panel in the editor, there's a generate excerpt button. Clicking on that will send your content off to OpenAI. It will then summarize it and stores that here. I'll delete this content here. So we also have an integration within the pre-publish panel. So if you go to publish an item and you don't have an excerpt already, it will also prompt you at this place to generate it, and you can do that here as well. Image generation obviously is a hot topic. So we also added that ability as well to generate images using OpenAI's DALL-E service. And we chose to integrate this directly into WordPress's core media modal. So again, it feels natural and it's available in multiple places, right? So whether you're in the core image block, whether you're setting a featured image, whether you're in the core media and text block, all of these locations use that same media modal. And so you have the option in any of those places to generate images. So play this video here. We're in the media modal opens up from that image block. You have this generate images tab. You click into that, and then you can put in your prompt. It sends that off to DALL-E to generate some images. And then once those images get rendered, you can then choose one or more of these images to import into your media library. And then you can choose a single image to actually insert into your content. So in this case, we're gonna import this particular image into our library. We then select that. And then you can see here the alt text of this image automatically gets set to your prompt that you used. And the caption gets set to some attribution that points back to OpenAI, to their DALL-E service. So we're giving that attribution property there. Another OpenAI feature that we recently added was the ability to automatically transcribe audio files when those files get uploaded. And this uses OpenAI's Whisper API. So we're here in the media library, drag in an audio file, and this audio file gets sent off to OpenAI, and it transcribes that, and the content of that gets set here in this description field. So this is great. Again, if you're hosting podcasts or things like that, you can automatically build transcripts. If you delete this, we have this option to retranscribe. So it's great if you have a bunch of existing audio files, you can transcribe those. But for new ones, it automatically does that on upload. And this is not a video, just a screenshot here because it's something harder to show. But going back to the genesis of Classify, this idea of automatically classifying your content, we recently added a feature that uses OpenAI's embedding API. So when this feature is enabled, it takes all of your terms, depending on what you have set up in settings. It takes these terms and it sends those off to this embedding API to turn those into vector data that gets stored. And then same thing when your post content is saved, we send that content off to this API, turn that into vector data. And at that point, we can then compare this data to figure out which of these terms most closely matches this content. And then the highest matched terms automatically get set. So kind of the short version of that is automatic classification of your content within your existing content structure. And the last feature here I'll highlight is not actually powered by OpenAI. This is powered by Microsoft Azure's text-to-speech API. And so it will automatically turn your text content into audio, and then adds a nice read to me feature on the front end that your visitors can use. So play this video here. There's this toggle in the sidebar where you can turn this on or off. If it's turned on, whenever you publish your content, that content gets sent off to this API to get transcribed into audio. So we'll refresh the page here. And you'll see there's now a preview button that shows up in this sidebar where you can actually listen to that audio, make sure it's accurate. And then if we go to the front end of the site, you'll see there is now also a play button there. So again, people can come to your site and they can choose to listen to this content rather than having to read it, right? Great for especially for long form content, right? If someone doesn't want to have to sit there and read, tons and tons of content, they can listen to it instead. So what does the future look like for ClassifAI? I've talked about and shown quite a few features here in just a few short minutes. There's other features that we have that I did not have time to demo, like automatic title generation. That said, we want to continue adding new features. We have lots of open issues on GitHub for things that we have thought of and things that we want to try and tackle at some point. Here's my plug. We're always looking for contributors. So if anyone is interested in helping us move this stuff forward, again, it's all open source. We're always looking for people to help. We want to continue to add new providers, right? OpenAI is great, but we want to give options outside of that. Maybe even in the future, offer the same feature from different providers. You can kind of choose, which provider is going to generate excerpts for me. And we want to continue to refine our existing features, especially as we get feedback on those features. And then finally, one area that I'm personally excited about and would love to explore more is providing nice, easy to use options within WordPress to build and train models based off your own content. So then you can use those models for all of these features that I've shown right now, right? So things like generating excerpts, generating titles, generating images, they can all now use your own model that is trained on your own content. And now the results that you get are much more closely match your site's writing style, your site's tone, and are going to be much more accurate. So again, that was very quick. So thanks for sticking with it. Again, if you want more information, here's a link to GitHub, and there's also this ClassifAI plugin kind of microsite that has more information as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Darin. Great whirlwind tour of what looks like a lot of powerful features and functionality. And I know it's developing at pace too, so people should definitely keep an eye on it and check out the GitHub. Okay, let me come back on stage and figure this bit out. I have to sit down because I've been standing at my standing desk for most of the session so far. Decided to sit down. Okay, so we're going to wrap up this session now. Everyone watching, you know the drill by now probably, and we'll jump over to hear from Cadence, who I think have got an exclusive reveal of some new functionality, so we're excited to see that. Darin, if you check the QA section, you'll see if any questions have been left there. Anyone in the chat, feel free to drop questions in, and I know I'm sure also Darin more than happy to answer questions on Twitter or in all the other places that we all hang out as the WordPress community. Okay, thank you again, Darin, and we'll see you over in the next session, everybody.